World Is Not Enough, Desmond Llewelyn, known worldwide in his role as Q, was tragically killed in a car accident.
I've known Desmond Llewelyn on and off for about 30 years, and I directed him in the latest Bond film, The World Is Not Enough. It was his 17th and my first, but like the gentleman he was very caring and nurturing with me. He could be cunning. I remember him saying, "Michael, I'll never remember the lines, please have them written out." And when we came to shoot the scene, he knew his, everybody else's, and practically wrote the scene. While we were shooting the film, there was a documentary made about Desmond, and it was completed just before he died. In his usual way, he was both excited and embarrassed by all the attention. So now you can have a look at the man behind the character, the man behind Q with some of the most famous scenes in the Bond franchise. The last one he shot with Pierce is very poignant. We in the Bond film will miss him, as will audiences all over the world.
You're not retiring anytime soon, are you?
Now, pay attention, 007. I've always tried to teach you two things. First, never let them see you bleed.
And the second?
Always have an escape plan.
Desmond Llewelyn, who played James Bond's equipment officer, was the longest-serving actor in the James Bond series. It's believed that his face is known to around half the world's population. Although over 35 years he appeared in 17 Bond films, he was only on the screen for a total of just over 30 minutes. Every 2 years or so, Desmond would get the call to Pinewood Studios just outside London to record the scenes for his next Bond film. The character Q first appeared in 1963 in From Russia with Love, and since then has been a feature of every Bond movie.
It's incredible when sort of people say, you know, you're making cinema history or whatever it is. Well, of course, Bond is cinema history now, so I suppose anybody who's been connected with Bond is sort of part of history. It's very, very flattering. But I think somebody hit the nail on the head the other day when they said, the reason I am so popular and so well known is that Q is such a small part and only appears so often.
It was the ultimate part-time job. Q's scenes in each film only took a couple of days to shoot. Desmond was baffled by his own success.
I feel this is also frightfully embarrassing, really. I mean, here I'm arriving with a bloody film crew in the sort of the heart of English film world. Hello, my son, Justin Llewelyn, may be coming in. Can you let him in?
Okay, sir.
Thank you very much.
In the 19th Bond film, The World Is Not Enough, Desmond was again playing opposite Pierce Brosnan, who joked about the working relationship.
Terrible. No, it's been the best. It's been the best. It's been sheer magic. Sheer utter magic, yes.
Really?
James Bond came to life when I met him. Truly, really. I mean, because I was a boy when I saw my first James Bond movie. It was Goldfinger. And I certainly didn't want to be James Bond or any of the baddies or anything like this, but, you know, the part of Q and Desmond's presence in the film captured my imagination.
Since 1963, the relationship between Q and the 5 different Bonds has been played out with the assistance of a variety of gadgets. It's part of the Bond tradition that Q invents the equipment for each adventure.
Little notion. Thought it might come in handy.
Desmond.
It was the sheer longevity of Desmond's career that made him unique. He became a key figure in Bond movie history. Michael Wilson is one of the few who remembers him on set in the early 60s.
From the very early days, although I wasn't working on the films, I was, it's been a family business, and I was a student at the time, and I used to come home on holidays and visit the sets. So I probably met him from Russia with Love.
On the 8:30 plane in the morning.
Suppose when she meets me in the flesh.
The first clue as to his job title came when M asked,
Ask the equipment officer to come in, please. Q branch has put together a smart-looking piece of luggage for us. We're issuing this to all 00 personnel.
Equipment officer became quartermaster, and shortened to Q, the character was born. Q's accent might have been very different if director Terence Young had had his way.
He sort of thought it'd be a good idea to have me as a Welshman, because when I went to rehearse, he said, how are you going to play this? And I said, well, he's an ordinary civil servant. He said, no, I want you to play him as a Welshman. Well, I said, well, it wouldn't work. I said, all right, Terence, is this what you want? This lovely case I've got here, I just press a button and out come the knife. And he said, no, you're quite right. So I played him as a toffee-nosed Englishman ever since.
Now, watch very carefully. It's magnetized, so it won't fall.
From Russia with Love featured Q's first gadget, the black briefcase.
You move the catches to the side. If you do,
the gadget tradition had begun.
In your face.
Q is notably absent from the original books by Ian Fleming.
Somebody said, I want you to meet the original Q. I said, what do you mean, the original Q? I am the original Q. They said, no, the man who Fleming got the idea of Q from. And I said, well, he didn't, because there's no such character of Q in the books. I don't know.
And Q does have a name. In The Spy Who Loved Me, Agent XXX Anya Amasova refers to him by name so she can show off her knowledge of British intelligence.
Good morning, Major Boothroyd.
Morning, Major.
Look what Q's brought for us. Isn't it nice?
Frequently.
Desmond could well have based Q's background on his own. He was born in 1914 into a privileged way of life. The Llewelyns lived in a large house called Blaenau Pant, near Newport in South Wales. Desmond's childhood was populated with nannies and other servants. His family was one of the first in the area to own a car. He was sent to Radley School in Oxfordshire as a boarder. It was here that he first showed an interest in acting.
I joined the Amateur Dramatic Society there as a scene shifter and building scenery. And actually we rebuilt the stage in the old gym at Radley. And Dennis Price, who was at school with me and shared a study, said, why don't you come and act? And I got the bug.
At the start of World War II, Desmond joined the Royal Welsh Fusiliers. He soon saw action in France.
And then we were up in a barn and a tank came and in front. And we had this thing called the boys' anti-tank rifle. And I said to the sergeant, I said, well, there's the tank, we better fire the anti-tank rifle at it. He said, no, don't fire that thing. And I sort of said, well, why not? He said, don't fire it. And I said, nonsense. And I took it and I fired it. Well, the recoil sort of sent me absolutely arse over tip at the back. And there was an enormous flash from the gun, which, of course, the tank saw, and he fired a shell right through. But luckily, the tank was so close, the shell just went right through the building and out the other side.
Desmond's unit was forced to surrender, and he spent 5 years as a prisoner of war. His acting skills were put to good use in prison camp plays. These photographs were taken by the German officers. After they were cleared by the censors, Desmond sent them home as postcards to his family. After the war, Desmond was offered parts in several films. One of his first post-war roles was as a tank driver in They Were Not Divided. The director was Terence Young. It was Young who suggested that Desmond should play the part of Q, a role that was to dominate the rest of his career. The character matured in 1964 on his third Bond film, Goldfinger.
What I was told originally was that early on, Desmond came the first day, and this is Bond folklore on the set.
At the rehearsal, I'm sitting at a desk working, and Bond came in, and I got up to greet him, and the guy said, no, you don't take any notice of him. And I sort of thought, what? This is Bond,
Desmond turned to the director and said, well, how do you want me to play this? And the director explained that everyone loves Bond except for you, because Bond destroys all your equipment.
And of course it came with a clue, and of course it worked in beautifully with all the lines.
Now, pay attention, please.
And that kind of became the hallmark of the character and the relationship, that they kind of love each other, but on the other hand, Bond goes out and destroys everything that Desmond makes.
He is the only one who, oh, for heaven's sake, Bond, be your age and all that sort of thing. Over the years, of course, he's got extremely fond of Bond, but he still doesn't approve of his way of life.
Desmond made the most of any opportunity to tear a strip off Bond.
Whatever you do, don't touch it.
No, why not?
Because you'll release this section of the roof and engage and fire the passenger ejector seat. Whoosh.
Ejector seat? You're joking.
I never joke about my work, 007.
He's always been a bit of a rascal with Bond, though. If you look at the scene from Goldfinger, I never joke about my work, 007. He took himself seriously then. It's evolved to someone who's, I guess he's a Dutch uncle to Bond.
Ah, Q. How are you?
Desmond really is the epitome of the bumbling professor. That I think if push came to shove, he could do it there.
How can I be expected to maintain the quality of my work? Sent out here at a moment's notice?
It's good-natured friction, It's, oh, 007, don't do that, don't do this. But I never played it for real friction. I played it just for good humor.
Somebody seems to have stuck a knife in my wallet. Oh, they missed you. What a pity.
Q's exasperation with 007 continued from film to film.
I think he's attempting re-entry, sir.
Oh, grow up, 007.
Q's gadgets don't always seem to be based on the laws of science.
Some are and some aren't. Because it's a film, Q gets away with it from time to time, and he does break the laws of science, but it's all good fun within the context of the film. Other times he does actually stick within the rules, which is good as well. A perfect example of one that could work within the laws of physics, but it's not really practical, is the jetpack. I can't really imagine anybody's granny using that, because I think you'd have to be trained to actually fly it. You've got these huge, great jet tubes right next to your back, which are incredibly dangerous, and let alone the problems of actually landing and taking off. Another gadget that Q designed for Bond, which was actually way ahead of its time, was the underwater camera, which Bond uses in Thunderball. I don't think anybody was actually designing it for practical use then, although it's probably on somebody's drawing board, but you certainly couldn't buy it commercially.
These films are set 5 minutes into the future. If you go back and look at Goldfinger, well, there was a radar system in the car.
Reception on the dashboard here. Audio visual, range 150 miles.
I think you'd have to use a satellite, and of course in 1963 there were very few satellites in orbit.
Here's a nice little transmitting device called a Homer.
Today, of course, we've got thousands of satellites in orbit, and modern cars use a GPS system which enables you to find out where you are at any time.
So that kind of becomes the way you figure these things out, that anything that is practical today with an unlimited amount of money can go into the film.
But the most popular of Q's gadgets are those with no basis in reality. They're just fun to watch. like the Bondola in Moonraker. Amateur spies need gadgets too. A specialist shop in London sells products that Q could be proud of. Desmond called in and was fascinated by what was on display.
I don't know if you remember from Diamonds Are Forever.
Yes.
You had voice changer kits.
This is Bert.
What's the matter with your voice, Bert?
Well, this is them nowadays. That's the size of them.
Lord. So this is the latest briefcase.
We build video cameras into this cellular phone.
Yeah.
It's you on the monitor there. We can record it. And then so basically I can go into a meeting or something like that and someone could be sitting outside watching it, filming it.
Good heavens. Slightly different to the one in Russia with Love.
Technology has moved on. We would have computers, and they took up entire rooms with whirling things going around, and today computers in the wristwatch.
This bug detector in Live and Let Die was state-of-the-art back in 1973.
In all the earlier films I seem to remember him searching hotel rooms for bugs and transmitters.
That's right.
Well, this one here has one built in. It detects all transmitters. What it does is you sweep around the room like that and it'll vibrate in your hand if it picks up a transmission. So he can also actually just keep it in his pocket. If he goes to a meeting that he thinks is being bugged, it'll vibrate in his pocket and he'll know without anyone else knowing.
Now pull the top off.
But miniaturization must have its limits.
In theory, they can become as small as you want. But then you've got the human problem. A good example is a mobile phone. You can only get this so small that it's still able to be usable with your hands. You've got to have the buttons that are big enough for you to touch the keys and put the number in. Now, in the future, of course, you could have an invisible dot on your lapel, which would be your phone, and you could talk to it and say, I want to phone such and such a number. But then you have the problem of being able to hear it. You could have an invisible speaker, but then everybody would hear your conversation. So then you'd have to use one of these. So you're back to large sizes again, and you have to put that in your ear. Although you could have an implant, I guess, but then you'd have to have it in there all the time.
Highly irregular.
Some of Q's gadgets look so real that they can even fool the experts.
If you remember, Bond had this, the underwater breathing apparatus. I was sitting in the office one day and the telephone went and a fellow said, good morning, this is Major so-and-so from the Royal Engineers. He said, I wonder if you know anything about the James Bond film. I said, yes, I do, quite well. So he said, tell me, he said, we're very interested in your miniaturised underwater breathing apparatus. He said, could you tell me, how long you could stay under water with it? So I said, yeah, I can tell you exactly. He said, well, great, I can imagine getting really excited. So he said, well, how long was it? So I said, as long as you can hold your breath. And I can imagine this poor fella going white. He said, what do you mean? He said, Bond was underwater for 3 or 4 minutes. I said, yeah, but that's the skill of the editor. All it was with a couple of sparklet bottles, used for soda siphons, painted with the black and white necks, and we made a little kind of mouthpiece, and that's it. It didn't work.
Whether real or not, Q's gadgets have helped Bond escape certain death countless times.
Oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz? My friends all drive Porsches, I must make amends. Worked hard all my lifetime with no help from my friends. So Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz?
Sunshine throughout today.
What's that, Dad?
Mutual? Well, Standard Life's mutual.
Yeah, but what's it mean?
Well, it just means that Standard Life puts its customers first, because it isn't owned by any shareholders.
So who owns them then?
I suppose we do, in a way.
So I'm the boss's son?
Standard Life, for pensions, investments and banking. There is an online service where you can buy train tickets the easy way to anywhere in Britain, and we'll even deliver the tickets to your door. So if you want to get on a train, get on thetrainline.com.
Itchy, flaky scalp. T-Gel Anti-Dandruff clears even the most stubborn dandruff. T-Gel Anti-Dandruff Shampoo from Neutrogena.
Like to increase your chances of winning? Well, now you can with Winston's. In this weekend's News of the World, there's 7 scratch card chances to win a share of 100 grand. Plus fantastic prizes with our Everyone's a Winner game card. In other words, you can't lose. The News of the World. It's what Sundays are all about.
My hair is alive with colour. It's a first in permanent hair colour.
Laboratoire Garnier creates Natea Nutricolour Mask. It nourishes as it colours.
It's like a beauty mask, but for your hair.
Garnier Natea puts the nourishing conditioners and fruit oils right in with the colour.
That's when you need it.
You'll feel the difference.
And the colour? Vibrant. To give you a lift. Or a change. Or give you back the colour that's true to you.
Natea Nutricolour Mask from Laboratoire Garnier. Experts in home hair colourants.
I'm so impressed. You really showed him a thing or two.
As you know, I'm not bothered. But women love a winner.
Worthington, it's a man thing.
There's a voice keeps on calling me down the road. That's where I'll always be. Every stop I make a new friend. Can't stay for long, just turn around and I'm gone again. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow I'll just keep moving on.
Only NatWest credit cards give you air miles every time you spend. So if you want to see the world for free, call us on 0800 400 005.
There's so many elements in a Bond movie that people love. People love the opening stunts, they love the opening credits, but I think the one that's loved above all are the scenes between Q and Bond. And I think just for the sheer lunacy of them all, the gadgets.
Filming Q's workshop scenes could take time because so many special effects were needed. Even the production crew could sometimes be caught out. Several takes were needed before the director of GoldenEye, Martin Campbell, had what he wanted.
It's well worth a print. Let's do one more.
Morning, Q. Sorry about the leg. Skiing?
Hunting. We actually rigged it so that he missed the target and hit the coffee area behind, which I think they lost a little bit in the film, but that was quite a fun one to do.
Again, Q's technology takes a fine line between reality and fantasy.
Can I get that any closer to the mat box?
Well, the problem with the rocket launcher is it actually defies Newton's third law of motion, which means that Q would have been sent flying backwards as a reaction to the forward movement of the rocket, and he would have been thrown across the room, probably splattered on the wall.
Not one.
Sometimes a gadget is invented just to help the storyline.
In GoldenEye, at one point, Bond puts his airplane ticket down on a silver platter, and Desmond says,
Flight 878 to St. Petersburg. X-ray document scanner.
The reason for that was because we needed to somehow explain where Bond was going. So that was the way to do it.
There was some question at the time whether Q should describe these things in so much detail, whether that was giving away the surprise. The decision was made to have him do so, and then, when the audience knew what was going to happen, there'd be a sense of anticipation. When's Bond going to use it? How is he going to use it?
And this I'm particularly proud of. The remote control for your car.
Well, let's see how she responds to my touch, eh, Q?
When Q hands the remote to Bond, you know that sooner or later the car will be involved in some serious action. This trick for raising audience anticipation was used in Moonraker in 1979. Bond couldn't resist trying out a new Q gadget in M's office.
It's activated by nerve impulses from the wrist muscles.
Like this? Oh, thank you, 007.
Be careful, will you?
Yes, Q.
10 dots. 5 blue tipped with armor.
And a few scenes later, Bond uses the gadget to escape. The only certainty about Q's gadgets is that you never know what he'll come up with next.
Smithers, Commander.
Smashing, Q. In my opinion, Q is the teacher that we all would have wanted at school, the eccentric science teacher who blows up the lab with all the exploding test tubes and everything going wrong. The relationship between Bond and Q is also fun because Bond is really like a kid in class and Q is the teacher. And it's like an Aladdin's cave with all these gadgets and wonderful devices that Bond likes playing with.
This is a Class 4 grenade. 3 clicks.
As the age difference between each Bond and Q increased, the relationship changed. With Pierce Brosnan, Q became a mentor figure to Bond.
This man here is loved, the world over.
You're embarrassing me.
Yeah, there's a good relationship between Pierce and Desmond, though. Probably one of the best relationships between Bond and Q.
If you just sign here, Mr. Bond.
There was chemistry between the two of them immediately. And then you saw that chemistry build in Tomorrow Never Dies.
It's the insurance damage waiver for your beautiful new car.
Watching Desmond as Q do the slow burn is what I liked so much about it and what Desmond did so wonderfully.
Will you need collision coverage?
Yes.
Fire?
Probably.
Property destruction?
Definitely.
Personal injury?
I hope not, but accidents do happen.
They frequently do with you.
Pierce had a distinctly Celtic take on the relationship.
There's a great fondness and love, I know that, on my behalf, and I've felt it from Desmond as well, but I've always seen kind of the role of Q as Merlin and Arthur. Call me nuts, but there you go.
Please try and return some of this equipment. Do please try and return some of this equipment in pristine order. Don't touch that! It's my lunch.
Desmond and I are very good. We know our lines.
I think there definitely is a sort of spark there. I feel rather like a grandfather looking after the grandson in a way,
The 19th Bond film, The World Is Not Enough, was filmed in the summer of 1999. At Pinewood, Desmond arrived to record his scene in what was to be his last Bond movie. On the set, director Michael Apted rehearsed the actors. This was his first Bond film, but he was very aware of what he needed to deliver.
And one of the challenging things of coming to do this film is there are certain elements about it you just have to deliver. You have to deliver good action, you have to deliver gadgets, you have to deliver beautiful women. That's that. And if you don't deliver that, then you've failed. And then on top of that, you want to deliver a good story and good characters and maybe push it around a bit and make it a bit more modern than it's been before. But the gadgets is one of the things that as a director you have to deliver.
Desmond was well aware of his advancing years.
I'm much too old to be Q, but thank God, they've kept me on. Even then, I said, look, it's about time I had an assistant. And they said, well, why? I said, well, look, I can't go on forever.
The Bond team had a solution.
I want to introduce you to the young fellow I'm grooming to follow me.
Desmond doesn't want to have to handle that much material because he's done enough, I think. So now we've brought in an assistant so we can kind of build a relationship between the two of them. So John Cleese, who's playing R, which is Q's assistant, can shoulder some of the load and also, I think, build a kind of amusing relationship between the two of them.
John Cleese brought his own brand of comedy to the part of R.
Helps if you open the door.
And you might be... This is 007.
If you're Q, does that make him R?
Ah, yes, the legendary 007 wit. Or at least half of it.
Well, I'm playing Q's deputy because Desmond, who's been in 17 of them now, apparently he wasn't in the first 2 or something, and he's done Q ever since. And he started saying to Barbara Broccoli and Michael Wilson about 3 movies ago that he ought to have a deputy, someone he's kind of training to take over. So I'm delighted to say they asked me if I'd do it.
It was accepted that Q couldn't go on forever, but no one was to know that his replacement would be needed so soon.
Titanium armor, a multitasking heads-up display, and 6 beverage cup holders. All in all, rather stocked.
Fully loaded, I think is the term.
I think.
You're not here to think. You're here to do what I tell you.
Desmond and his wife Pamela were married in 1938. In 1965, they returned to live in Bexhill when Pamela inherited her great-uncle's house. After illness forced Pamela to live in a nursing home, Desmond divided his life between Bexhill and his work.
There's Linkwell. It was built about 1820. And there is a portrait of great-uncle Richard, my wife's great-uncle, who built this house. And now a portrait that, well, I suppose I better show you. I don't like showing it. And that actually was painted at Llewelyn. I don't know how old I was. I think it's terrifying, but my sons love it.
St Mary's Church in Battle, Sussex, is about as far removed from the world of James Bond as you can get. Desmond worshipped here regularly and was passionate about its history.
I've been coming to this church now for nearly 60 years, and I absolutely love it. I think it is one of the most beautiful churches I know. And this here is the tomb of Sir Anthony Browne, and he was master of the King's Horse in Henry VIII's day.
After such a long association with St Mary's Church, it was appropriate that Desmond's funeral was held here, in surroundings he had known so well. His screen time in 17 Bond films totalled just over 30 minutes, yet Desmond found it hard to walk down a street without being recognised and asked for his autograph. In London's West End, he was reunited with an old friend, the Aston Martin DB5 car from Goldfinger. They were both here to promote the opening of the new James Bond simulator ride. The organisers of the ride were keen to exploit his cult status, although in his 80s he could still pull a crowd. They knew they could depend on Desmond to add the essential Q factor.
Right. Now, pay attention, everybody. These are 007's new glasses. These glasses are equipped with a miniature camera that transmits what 007 sees. We're working on a new staple gun.
In the last decade of his life, Desmond spent more and more time travelling and promoting the James Bond films. He was in a unique position to comment on the myths and legends of Bond movies and their stars. 2 months before his death, we asked Desmond to assess the 5 different versions of Ian Fleming's creation, 007.
Yeah, it's a nasty little Christmas present.
Fleming was horrified because he wanted, I believe, I don't know, David Niven or Cary Grant. And Terence Young just said, disaster, disaster. But Terence took him over, and Sean, I mean, is such a marvellous actor that he assimilated all the things of Bond. Extraordinary. He did that for the first time. And I think he mixed with some of Terence's sort of more upper crust friends, if that's the right word.
Well, really, I'm not too busy at the moment, sir.
Sean is so terrific in these parts.
Suppose when she meets me in the flesh, I don't come up to expectation.
That had occurred to me.
Yeah. You almost know at once that he's lusting after even the photograph.
My name's Bond. James Bond.
Don't move, Mr. Bond.
Unfortunately, George wasn't an actor. He was a car salesman who was broke. And he told me that when he heard he was going to have a test, he spent 2 days looking for an actor to find out what it was all about. Then he got the part. And then some idiots told him, you know, you're now a star, behave like one. He sort of took over from telling the director how he should direct.
This time, my boy, I can't complain.
Nor can I.
That wasn't you, that was me. Teresa!
Yes, Papa?
Look, James, I know that we haven't always exactly seen... Well, anyway, don't forget, if there's anything you ever need...
Thank you, Q, but this time I've got the gadgets. I know how to use them.
Bond. James Bond.
He used to play some awful tricks on me, you know, because I was saying all these ghastly technical lines which I could never understand in my close-ups.
While I was not paying attention to him, I thought, I know, we'll have some new dialogue here. I'd get off with a script girl and sort of dictate even worse gobbledygook than he had already.
He'd be sort of looking at me much to say, you're not going to get this, are you, old boy? And then sometimes he'd put up an idiot board with bollocks written on it.
He loathed wearing shorts. So knowing this, you know, I'm like a dog with a bone. You tell me something about somebody that I'm going to pursue it. And I would always, whoever the director was, I would say, don't you think it would be an idea in the scene if Desmond wore shorts? Actually, Desmond is only 23. He looks a little older because of what we did to him.
Bond, James Bond.
There again, he had to change a Bond. He had to make him different. And he made him much more serious. And of course, in License to Kill, he made him much more, according to aficionados, Fleming's Bond.
What the hell are you doing here?
Timothy really made no concessions. He just was a very tough individual.
Get your bags packed, Q.
Who was out for revenge.
Don't judge him too harshly, my dear. Field operatives must often use every means at their disposal to achieve their objectives.
Name's Bond. James Bond.
I like him immensely, and I think he's a charming man. And I think he's a wonderful Bond. You see, he's got that something that none of the other Bonds have. And what I always say, sort of as a Welshman, we've got, we hope, charm, and the Scots have got charm, but we can't touch that ruddy Irish, you know. And I think that comes out.
Behind the headlights, Stinger missiles.
Excellent. Just the thing for unwinding after a rough day at the office.
Need I remind you, 007, that you have a license to kill, not to break the traffic laws?
I wouldn't think of it.
Good.
The new Fiat Punto, the ideal car for the woman of today. Now, let's take things nice and slowly, shall we, girls? Satellite navigation system, because let's face it, with your sense of direction, finding your way out of the garage is a bit of a challenge. What else? There's a 5-door version with 297 litres of space. That's 94 shopping bags in your language. New torsion beam suspension unit, as if you'd know what that means. 24 pockets and cubby holes to put your makeup and your hankies in. And you can make the power steering even lighter with this special girly button. Perfect. Spirito di Punto.
There's a voice keeps on calling me down the road. That's where I'll always be. Every stop I make a new friend. Can't stay for long, just turn around and I'm gone again. Maybe tomorrow settle down. Until tomorrow, I'll just keep moving on.
Only NatWest credit cards give you air miles every time you spend. So if you want to see the world for free, call us on 0800 400 005.
So what time's it over there, Dad?
It's 4:30. Have you got your next move ready?
Yep. Bishop tonight too.
Not bad. Anyway, it's your bedtime.
With fax and email as well as the phone, it's never been easier to stay in touch.
Think he's got us this time. Just shows what a good teacher you are, Dad.
BT, stay in touch.
Cheese and onion in blue packets. 5 pence pieces. Somebody tell them that it's green for cheese and onion. People who stop dead right in front of you when you're walking along. Lies. The rush hour. Nil, I mean. This position is now closed. That person at the 5 items or less checkout. Oh, the wrong rental video in the box. He's got 6, look, there's 6 of them. He's got 6 items. Forget all the niggles. In fact, forget that number. Right, what's next?
Señoras y señores, la carrera está por comenzar. En su marcha. ¡Listo! ¡Listo!
Q's gadgets often feature in Bond movie chases. One of the best is the famous gyrocopter from You Only Live Twice, Little Nelly.
I didn't know what the hell Little Nelly was. I had no idea. And the first time I heard of it was we were lunching at an aerodrome and suddenly this noise appeared. And I thought, my God, these Japs are pretty thorough. Fancy mowing the lawn on a Sunday. And somebody said, oh, there's Little Nelly arriving. To my astonishment, I found it was this tiny little plane. And of course, it really does work. It was invented by Ken Wallace of the RAF.
This can only be for children.
Right, now pay attention. Flame guns, 2 of them. Firing astern. Aerial mines. Use them only when directly above target. 2 machine guns fixed. 2 rocket launchers. These fire heat-seeking air-to-air missiles. That's about the lot, I think.
If little Nellie could really do all this, expensive jet fighters would be obsolete.
I don't think it would have worked. I think that the machine was too frail and lightweight. And of course, the big problem is that if you fired huge rockets from such a machine, it would probably have stalled and fallen out of the sky.
In many of the Bond films, it's Q's boats that are destroyed in the line of duty. But in The World Is Not Enough, Q has one boat he's very proud of, his own.
He may have destroyed all the other gadgets that I've made, but they're government property. But this time he's actually destroyed one of my boats, the boat that I was building, my fishing boat, for my retirement, and he's wrecked it. So that really does make me mad.
Unlike anyone else's retirement boat, this one is packed with gadgets and used in a high-speed chase on the River Thames in London. For this one action sequence, 14 identical Q boats were needed.
We have to have a lot of boats because we physically can't get all the mechanics in one boat. You know, you've got boats that have rockets and guns coming out of. You've got other boats that are specially designed for jumping and have special reinforcement. You've got other boats which are, fired from big air cannons. The other point is that we do tend to damage a lot of them when we're doing some of these. You're firing a boat through the air onto dry land. The odds are that it's going to get damaged. You won't see it on film, but it does happen.
And you always have to have, obviously, a backup, because once we're out on the river, if something goes wrong, or engine goes or something like this, you want one that you can immediately go to.
We were looking at different things, and we actually travelled to America to have a look at them. And we saw a vast range from the sports type model that we've got now to the ones that you can actually buy off the shelf. And we decided to go for these ones because they're so sturdy and you can do anything you want with them.
As soon as they arrived and start to play with the exterior, what could we do with it to make it look like a Q-boat?
They go in 2 inches of water, they accelerate up to 80 miles an hour, and when you see the sequence, we do a lot with them.
When it comes to cars, Q has excelled himself in The World Is Not Enough. Every gadget in the car has to be designed from scratch.
Q thinks of everything, and even if the car's more or less destroyed, systems will still work. These pads here are for him to manipulate, and in here we have there's a little screen with 2 converging images, and when they converge, then you're going to get the lock-on signal that you get on kind of American jets, and then he fires.
That's the one thing they do love in Bond films, and that is car crashes.
Where's my Bentley?
Oh, it's had its day, I'm afraid.
But it's never let me down.
M's orders, 007.
Yeah.
You'll be using this Aston Martin.
This is the most fascinating car. It's got all the gadgets in it.
Revolving number plates, naturally. Valid all countries. Now open the top, and inside are your defense mechanism controls. Smoke screen, oil slick, rear bulletproof screen, and left and right front wing machine gun.
Individually, all these bits and pieces on the car are fine, but if you put them all together in one car, it's doubtful whether you'd have room for an engine.
There we really do have a car that can go underwater.
A Lotus that doubles up as a submarine, useful for shopping on a wet day.
It's just about feasible, but it would be incredibly expensive and incredibly difficult to do. There are major problems. You've got to have very thick glass for the car window so that the water pressure is taken care of. You've got to keep the elegant looks of the Lotus without it being completely overtaken by machinery. It's all very well with military vehicles that weigh 5 tons, but to have a Lotus doing it is slightly improbable, I think.
The Lotus submarine was nicknamed Wet Nellie, after her flying counterpart Little Nellie. In the underwater sequence, the real car was doubled up with a scale model.
You'd have to wear a breathing apparatus and wetsuit, but it does go underwater.
In The Living Daylights, the laser beam from Bond's Aston Martin was just a visual effect. But with today's technology, a small laser could be fitted to a car.
The laser effect could work. You could build the gun inside the axle and have it coming out of the hub of the car. The big problem is the power of the laser to cut a car in half. In order to build a laser that powerful, you'd have to have lots of boxes and bits and pieces that would have to go into the car. And it's doubtful whether you could actually do that.
In Tomorrow Never Dies, Bond's car was crammed with gadgets.
I don't know how many cars they actually wrecked, but quite a few, I should think. There are a couple gone out.
When I wrote the scene, we knew the car would be remotely driven.
Reduce speed. Pedestrians in roadway.
Of course, the thing's going to have rockets. And I originally thought the rockets would come out of the headlamps. Instead, Chris Corbolt was the one who figured out, no, it'll be the sunroof. So it's things like that. It continually evolves.
Well, this is a great Q gadget. There's absolutely no reason why this couldn't be done. It's really just an upscale version of the little car, the model cars with the remote controls that we've all used and played around with. The thing is that it takes months of practice so that it doesn't crash into the sofa, whereas Bond, being Bond, just has this magical way of being able to do anything without being trained.
I always think it's so sad that they didn't have me in the shop. It's the Navy's shop. Seeing the car come back, not in pristine order.
Perhaps in the future, we might all be phoning our cars to start them up in the morning. But using the phone to actually drive them may not be such a good idea.
With practice.
No one really minds whether Q's car gadgets are reality or fantasy. In the films, they achieve the magic they were meant to.
Think we understand each other?
Grow up, 007.
From Desmond Llewelyn's 17 movies, almost everyone has a favourite Q gadget.
Guaranteed never to wake up anybody who uses it.
I suppose I think of Desmond in the wheelchair with the rocket launcher.
That was fun.
Morning, Q. Sorry about the leg.
In GoldenEye, it was a throwaway thing, which I think is really good for Q's gadgets. They should all be happening in the background of, the main action. And there's a fantastic thing in the telephone box. He goes in and a big airbag blows and he's splattered against the thing. That just made me giggle.
As a science writer, my favourite gadget is one of the simplest that Bond's ever used. It's the pen which he clicks 3 times to arm and then clicks 3 more times to disarm. And it's used brilliantly in GoldenEye, where we all lose track of how often it's being clicked, and we're all wondering when Bond's going to jump in and actually use it.
Give me the cards, Natalia! Give them to me!
Every film, I think, has a special gadget. Certainly the briefcase on the first film that Q worked on was a great one, and it became very popular as a child's toy at the time.
I suppose my favourite gadget was probably Ursula Andress, but that probably doesn't count, does it?
Despite all his success, Desmond remained steadfastly modest.
I mean, I should have retired years ago. I mean, but they're still very kind. I'm terribly grateful to them. They've sort of kept me on. I don't know why. After Timothy, with a new Bond, they've had a new Q, but thank God they didn't. Why, I don't know.
I must say, I've enjoyed them enormously, and this one in particular.
Now, pay attention, 007. And I must say, it's wonderful working with him, a fellow Celt, you see.
Yes.
Yeah.
His scenes completed, Desmond left the set for the last time. Whatever wonders future Bond movies may hold, there will always be an empty place where Desmond Llewelyn would have been.
Oh, here we are, Desmond Llewelyn. Strikes again. Trying to screw me up. Make me forget my lines. Tread on my lines, cut my lines. Basically just steal the scene. As it should be. As it should be. Desmond Llewelyn. One of a kind. Bond 18. The spine to the whole movie. My hero. Desmond.
Right, Dawn, yes, sir. Now, pay attention, 007.
Well, I won't keep it for more than an hour or so if you give me your undivided attention.
I missed you. What a pity. Don't touch that. It's my lunch.
I never joke about my work, 007.
How long did you say the fuse was?
Oh, grow up, 007.